Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the second session of today, where we are going to begin a new chapter as we have completed the poem of Sri Kuvempu, Heaven If You Are Not Here on Earth. Dear students, the unit that we are going to deal with today, the chapter we begin today, is about a system, is about a concept, one of the concepts of democracy, that is vote. Voting system is essential in democracy. To achieve democracy, 100% democracy, we need the system of voting here. Voting means we have to select the skilled, useful, good people who can govern us, who can service the public, who can serve the public with equality. And he or she will look after the welfare of the whole society or the people in common. And to achieve democracy, what is democracy then? Yes. What is democracy then? Is for the people, of the people, by the people. So this is what we call, or we will define the meaning of democracy here. Jenny. So what is essential here? See, to lead our life, we need a set of rules and regulations. What is that? We need for life, democracy, life, and then we'll think about nation, country, yes. So as one has a life to lead, he has to draw some boundaries around his life. Boundaries around life. He should have the boundary around or in his life. Isn't it? This one. And as a nation, it has to have a certain limit, a line of control, a line of control to safeguard its citizens, so-called people. Safeguard its people, isn't it? And to safeguard the people and to maintain the law and order, we need some rules, regulations. We need some laws. and comforts, facilities, you can say, to provide to all the citizens of your nation. And this needs democracy, and life also needs democracy. If you have democracy in this life and nation or in the world, maybe we can't take world as here, because there are other countries who have a different administrations as such. So only thing is, see, if you consider that these require some a rule, a law, or a kind of administration here, so it has to decide what type of government will keep its citizens happy, comfortable as such. So you require set of rules. What are the rules? To whom for? For the people. So what do you give your people? So the democracy is from the people, for the people. Whom? For. To the people. And from whom? By the people. Okay. For the people, to the people, by the people. So for, to the, by the. What is this? Democracy. And when you think about the democracy and its definition, it is a prerequisite to a country like India. Yes. We want democracy. And we are called the world's biggest democracies in the democracy. The world's the biggest democracies of the world, democracy of the world, and right? So that is India. So, in order to be democratic, a nation has to have a set of rules. Those rules are, one rule here is the voting system. Where we select, where we are going to elect or select the right candidate to rule our nation, our village, our taluk, our district, our state, or our nation. Isn't it? In what? In this system of voting. So, voting is to everybody, to every citizen of the India. They can exercise their power, that is voting. The biggest weapon to the democracy is the power of voting. It is a right to vote. Everybody have the right to vote here. Okay, right to vote. Yes. It is because you have a right and a freedom, and you can vote to anybody in a democratic setup like this. Did you go for electing or selecting a wrong person to rule you? Or otherwise, a person who has helped you temporarily in order to gain his vote to him, your vote to him, your vote in order to gain or get your vote. So, is this possible for you? Yes, of course. Because to lead life, we also have a freedom. What kind of freedom? So we can eat whatever we like. We can drink whatever we like. We can do whatever we want, but it should not be a disturbance to any others here once again. You can't say that you can do whatever you want. You can do, but that should not disturb anything in the so-called boundary of nation, village, district, or whatever place it may be. So you should take care of that. So that is the way, so you can exercise your right or power in the democratic place or a world or a country or a thing, isn't it? So here, what sort of voting procedures we have in our country which is democratic? So that's what we need to think of here. And we'll see Chinua Achebe, a Nigerian poet and a novelist, a very famous novelist, who got us a Nobel Prize for his great novel called as Things Fall Apart, where we have seen this mentioned in heaven. If you are not here on earth, Dr. C. Nagarna, who has translated the great novel, which is what nominated for Nobel Prize, or Achebe got Nobel Prize for the novel Things Fall Apart, has been translated into Kannada under the title Banga. We have seen that, isn't it? Things fall apart. This is a novel, and which got Nobel Prize, dear students. Remember, Nobel is not an ordinary award, isn't it? So, open page number 113 in your textbook. In my textbook it is 13 because there are different editions. Okay, it may slightly vary the page numbers. And it's our duty to know the author or study or read about the author. Okay, on page number 113, you have a picture and information about the author here. Chinua Achebe, Chinua Achebe. Okay, but in English we can pronounce as the spelling. So you have, since it is a proper noun, you have a freedom of pronouncing according to the spellings. Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe was born in the year 1930. Mentioned, okay. And he is a Nigerian novelist. He was famous famous as novelist. Famous for his novels. And is a poet, professor, and critic. Achibe's novels focus on the traditions of Igbo society, the effect of Christian influences, and the clash of Western and traditional African values during and after the colonial era. Okay, my dear students, you can observe the period of Achebe here and the rule of the administration which was prevailed in Nigeria. As we know a little bit of history, that almost all the African countries were the colonies of Europe. As our India became a colony for British, so it is a European who have exploited or made these African countries as their colonies. And it is these Christian influences created a kind of pressure between the original inhabitants of Nigeria as well as the people who temporarily visited and stayed in the Nigeria as Christians as such. And the novels are the works, poetry of Achebe. They focus mainly on tradition of the Igbo society. Igbo means their culture, their tradition, Igbo tradition, like we have folk, tradition as such. The effect of Christian influences. So there is also effect of Christian influences, that is Europeanization. And the clash of Western and traditional African values during and after the colonial era. So there was a clash between Western and traditional, Western and traditional African values, Nigeria and Europea. They wanted to spread Christianity among the nations of Africa, and they are successful in that also. Because today we see almost every African have been converted to Christianity. So that's how they became successful in their mission. Then his style relies heavily on the Igbo oral tradition and combines straightforward narration with representations of folk stories, proverbs, and oratory. So these are the fields in where you find this man is very effective, well versed as of that. So, Igbo oral tradition is like our Tulu language, like our Konkani language, which has no script or no form here in writing. So, they have only oral form of communication. So, in the same way, these people of Nigeria have the Igbo oral tradition, and which combines straightforward narration with representations of folk stories, proverbs, and oratory. So it mainly deals with the folklore and stories, some folk stories, and proverbs and oratory. So the speeches, also were influenced by this tradition of Igbo oral tradition. Then he also published a number of short stories, children books, and essay collections. Almost all the literatures. So in almost all the literatures he had his contributions here, not only poetry or novels, but also the short stories, children's books, and essay collections. Some of his works are the famous works of Chinua Achebe are Things Fall Apart. As I said here, so it is the only novel which became a nominee or got Nobel Prize for Achebe. Arrow of God, and many of his novels have been made as movies. Things Fall Apart, Arrow of God, No Longer at Ease, Enemy of the People, Girls at War. So these are some of the best writings of Chinua Achebe in the literary world. So these are the achievements, contributions of our today's writer Chinua Achebe here. Okay, and also we will complete this part also. Now, okay, is that clear about the author? I think this is enough for language students like you to know about Achebe here. So only thing is, its works are rebels to the European governance in Nigeria. They wanted the Europeans to quit their nation. They wanted to chase these people out of their nation. They wanted to re-establish their Igbo oral tradition here. The tradition of African values here. The traditional African values here. They were understanding that at the time of the authors and so many people who have come up and started revolting against the Europeans, so they can make out or differentiate the European culture and the traditional African culture as such. So it is more traditional, cultural, important, valuable to these people in order to save, conserve, preserve their traditions, African values from the clutches of Europeans here. So that is why they started opposing, they started speaking against, revolting against these westernized policies as such. So now we will see how these Western culture disturbs the so-called traditional African values here. How did they corrupt the area or the place where they have gone here? How did they influence themselves on these people and their own motherland as such? And how were their rules, treaties, laws were corrupt, became corrupt, and what were their plannings? So such things were brought out in the works of Chinua Achebe, but here in this lesson, under the title The Voter, so he is speaking about how they disturbed the African democratic setup or rules and regulations here, how they have corrupted the very system of voting here in their country with the influence of money and other materialistic power or implements. So that is what we will cover. How they corrupt the good people, how they spoil and exploit the good, the right, justice, of their mother nation or country, Nigeria. So these are the things that we need to discover by reading the lesson Chinua Achebe's The VOTER. And a student, this is a little bit a difficult word which confuses us always. You always. So, you should not get any confusion, bewildered when you read Chinua Achebe. So that is why I was a bit, elaborative in my explanation here. He has an aggressive note in these works here, because as his country is a colony of Europe, he wanted to drive them away, chase them away from his motherland, that is Nigeria. He wanted to re-establish his culture and tradition among his people of Nigeria here. For that, we have to get out. They have to get out of the clutches of these Europeanization or Europeans as such. So that is what the language of Achebe is strong, is standard, or you can say is quite complex. So that is why it needs slow, attentive, patient reading and concentration towards it. If you do second and third work according to, along with the reading of this lesson, I don't think you can remember or understand it. Because, see, some people, they read watching TV. They read books watching TV. They read books eating and watching. Eating and watching television. See, 3 works at a time. So, in such situations, it is difficult to understand Chinua Achebe's languages here. So that is why Achebe needs your complete concentration. Achebe needs your patience and attentiveness towards him. To follow him, to understand him completely in the writings of Achebe, so you have to put your effort in that way. So that is why, so dear students, we will go towards the pre-reading activity here. So we have discussed on the author and few of his works and his intention of writing and his practices, few of his practices. Now, see pre-reading activity here. Do you have a voting system in your college? Of course, we don't have at present. Okay, of course, we don't have voting system in the colleges, especially in PU colleges as of today is concerned. So, we have no such condition of voting systems in our colleges as of today is concerned. Okay, we'll leave it up. Then, the second one. To what extent is voting important for democracy? Yes, this is very important thing to be discussed here, because this is what the central idea or the important message of this lesson or theme and plot of the story here. So my dear students, why did democracy needs voting? Because voting system is very much necessary for democracies. And you know the voting system, how the voting takes place. It is a very secret way of selecting and electing the people whom we feel are able to rule, administer us as well as our place of life in a proper way. So that is why it has been kept secret. So when once you owe to a particular person, your identity will not be revealed anywhere there. So such is the system here. So nobody will come to know to which person you have voted. So that is the system here. And how many people have voted this? Who were those? Think that there were two candidates, 1 and 2. And he got 100 votes and he got 101 votes. Okay, see, this is the voting that these people will get. So totally, so the total votes over there was 201. And he won with 1 vote. Who? 2. The candidate 2. And he has lost. If you want to know the one person who was responsible for his victory, you will not be known. You will not be known who is that one vote, which is that one vote which is responsible for the victory of this second man among 201 people. No. You are 1 in 201 people. So, the one person is safe and all the 201 persons are safe here. They are secured here. Why? Because the system is like that. But in olden days, the system of voting was different. The votes were named there. And the secrecy of the voter was revealed in those days. So that is why the voter was not in a security or secure position in those days. So he feel fear to vote here. So that is what it fails. If the voting system fails in its administration, in its functioning, automatically it will be a biggest threat to the democracy. Isn't it? So that is why the system that we have today is a very secret kind of voting system. No voters or citizens' names will be revealed or opened or publicized after his power, exercise his voting power. It will be unknown. Isn't it? So such a beautiful, meaningful, extraordinary weapon we call weapon, that is voting. So this weapon of voting will make any country, any place be successful in achieving 100% democracy. So now, dear students, the question, the complaint that we have in pre-reading activity is, to what extent is voting important for democracy? To what extent? It is the main and integral part of democracy to be called as a democracy, or to exercise its complete rights and administration to the nation which they have democracy in their world. And it is an integral, and without which it will never be called as democracy. If you don't have voting system or voting or vote or voting system, it will never be called as a democracy. So keep this in mind. It is, if there is a democracy, there must be a voting system. So that is why it is very much important for our democracy here. Okay, is there any doubt? Is there any question you have? So we will move towards the text here. Yes. If you have the doubt, okay, you can send it to me, or else make a note of it. Whenever you feel like asking or any confusion, make a note of it as of the day you are watching the clippings, video clippings. Okay, let it be any sort of question that may be. Okay, so make a record of it. We will discuss in our offline or physical classes. Okay, now see, here is a picture. I have already explained a few things here, where you also will be knowing. I think some of you have the experience of vote here, because you are a second PUC student. Some of you might have voted by this time, and you have experience of the place where we vote and the way we vote, okay, and the security precautions that were taken place during vote and in the place of vote. Yes, everything is very much disciplined, strict. Okay, every kind of vigilance, security steps have been taken to achieve or while people vote or participate in voting. Isn't it? So you will not be known, or nobody will watch or see you when you vote. So your name won't be revealed there, okay, announced there, or known to anybody that you have voted to this party or this candidate. No, never. So that is why, first of all, you should understand this before you go to vote here. Because still we have people afraid or fear of voting, thinking that, so if I vote to this candidate or this party, so I may be in a difficult position in future. Thinking that it will come to know after the voting that who has voted to whom. No, my dear students, it will not be revealed and it should be secret. All the measures will be taken to keep it as a secret, your vote as a secret, or you as a secret. The only thing is you have to follow the guidelines given by the system. Okay, that is one major rule of democracy or democratic administration as such. Okay, now my dear students, we will begin. Okay, open page number 106. Yes, you see a picture being given by our board, PU board, Karnataka, where a black or a Negro or a citizen of Nigeria is casting his vote or is voting here in this place, picture here. So this is a booth, or we call it as a place, okay, place where we call it as a booth, and where you will be having a place, a secret place there. And there will be a box where after casting your vote, okay, marking your identity on the slip provided to you, or so these days we have electronic voting machines have come where you have a facility of just pressing the button in front of each voter symbol that is given in the machine. Okay, you can just press the button to cast your voter. But during those days, and in some rural like Gram Panchayat elections which held recently, so the manual voting system was there, because it means so they used to give us a paper where the candidates' names as well as their symbols were printed on that paper. And see, for example, if there is 2 candidates per village, means so there may be a n number of participants there. See, for example, for each candidature, if there are competitors of 3 or 2 like that, so for 2 you have to cast 2. See, for example, so there has to be 2 members there, but there are 4. So you have to vote for 2 people only. Means you have to vote only for 2, those who wanted you to vote. You want to vote. If you vote for 4 people thinking that all are my intimates, so your vote will not qualify, or there is no value for that vote. So it will be thrown into the dustbin. Okay, it will be disqualified, waste. And even if you cast your vote to 3 persons, it will be a waste. They never consider it. They never discover it. And your vote or print of your vote should be according to the rule and the instruction given to you, exactly on the symbol that they have given in your ballot paper. So you call that as a ballot paper, voting paper, the paper which you put your vote and fold it and keep it in the box given there, kept there. So that is the ballot. So 2 kinds of voting things we have, manual and electronic voting as such. So clear, is that clear? So shall we start with the lesson here? Yes. Now Rufus OKK, roof for short. See, this is the strange quality of achieving beginning the story or its narration. Rufus Rufus Okeke, that is the character that he introduces in this story, a main character, a leading character we can call. Ruf, for short, was a very popular man in his village. So, its original name was Rufus Okeke. But sweetly, or in short, we can call or take it as Ruf here. And this man, Ruf, was a very popular man in his village. He was very much popular. So we will study and get to know why he is famous for or popular for. Although the villagers did not explain it in so many words, Ruf's popularity was a measure of their gratitude to an energetic young man who, unlike most of his fellows nowadays, had not abandoned the village in order to seek work in any work in the towns, and Ruf was in the town. See the complexity of language here. See, he has used the full stop here. See, first sentence, Rufus Okeke, Rufus was a very popular man in his village. First sentence. So simple sentence where he introduces the character Ruf. Okay. Then, although the villagers did not explain it in so many words, Ruf's popularity was a measure of their gratitude to an energetic young man who, unlike most of his fellows nowadays, had not abandoned the village in order to seek work, any work in the towns. Forget about the meaning here, so we will come to that later. Now, form of his writing, the complexity of his writing is like this. So that is why I said, okay, I told you that the language of Chinua Achebe was standard, was equivalent, more of quality than the European, so-called the Englishes. That is what the extraordinary of a special character of Achebe. Though these people hate the European culture in their land, he studied English and he worked hard, and he has a very good standard of writing, speaking English than the Europeans. This is the challenge that he had. This is the quality of language that he had. So, I will continue here. So, as he was popular, the villagers never revealed anything in words how much popular or the measure of their gratitude to an energetic young man. He is an energetic man, young man, who has a lot of gratitude from the people in that village. And most of his fellows nowadays had not abandoned the village in order to seek work, any work in the town. So many of these people used to, never ever try to go to the towns here. They don't want to abandon their village here. So why? Because they were weak in education, weaker in economical status, and they were weak in social understandings as such. So there was a huge, very much inferiority with the people of Nigeria, since they have no education, no awareness about the modernity or the education as such. So that is why still, so they have oral, for oral, Igbo oral tradition. Okay, so they are very much backward in all the sects of life here. That's why, so nobody, no youngster would like to abandon their village and settle in or seek work in any work that is in towns as such. And nobody would like to go out of their village in search of job to towns as such, because they have a feeling that they don't want to deceive or abandon their village as such. Okay, ಅದನ್ನ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡೇ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. But see what happens here. And Ruth was not a village lout either. ಅವನೊಬ್ಬ ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಗಮಾರನ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. He was an educated person. He was a civilized person here. So he had education. He was very much aware and full of common sense here. Ruth was not a village lout either. Everyone knew how he had spent 2 years as a bicycle repairer's apprentice in Port Harcourt and had given up his own free will a bright future to return to his people and guide them in these difficult times. See here, once again, the complex sentence, the biggest sentence here. But Ruth had spent 2 years in Port Harcourt. There in the big a city of Nigeria, I think the capital city of Nigeria, where he worked as a bicycle repairer's apprentice, means helper in bicycle repairer's shop. But later, after 2 years, he felt leaving Port Harcourt. Why? Because it is that time he had matured up enough to think about his village and the people of his village. He started himself understanding that his requirement or presence in his village is must. The people of his village are in a very bad situation of his directions and educations as such.